Hey guys, today we're talking about Memento. Memento has a lot of things that are janky, cool, and weird all at the same time, and it's pretty intriguing, I guess. The most interesting thing about Memento here is probably the fact that it has an insane amount of recycling. Among the decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, this is one of the best grind games, just period. And everything gets recycled, so why not? So we have Memento Tekutlika combined creation here, and this has the effect to special summon itself by shuffling 5 other Memento monsters with different names from your hand and or graveyard into the deck or extra deck. So this happens as cost for the special summon, which is also ignition, technically. Well, not ignition, that's not the term I was looking for. It's an inherent summon. And that makes this somewhat hard to stop, but like not really. Kind of like you know? But there's also Memento Miklon, which allows you to, during your end phase, set a Memento spell trap in your graveyard. So if I have Bone Party, I can set that. If I have Bone Back, Fractured Dance, Cranium Burst, whatever, I can set it. We also have Gaddock, which allows you to add any Memento card from your graveyard to your hand. And that would include your spell traps, your monsters, so even more recycling here can be done. Interestingly enough, you can also do, like, for example, not really relevant to the other thing I was saying, but you can do Momentolan Fusion effect to pop a monster, and then also use the effect of Fusion to grab Fusion. But it does really let you grab any spell trap, Memento spell trap, from your deck to your hand, so that's a pretty strong effect, and this is definitely a 3 of. So, uh, yeah, I don't really see you running out of things for a good amount of time. Like, we have Fusion to grab other spell traps. We've got it to just grab back spell traps. We also have Memento Miklon to set spell traps, and then Ekutlika Combined Creation to just reset your graveyard, essentially, you know? So that goes pretty hard. Uh, some really jank things we have here. Well, there's a lot, but alright. First thing worth mentioning is all of these monsters, they essentially, well, for the most part, don't have any trigger effects on summon. Well, actually, in that case, if we're going with on summon trigger effects, the only one that exists is Gaddock, and Anguish effect is search. So we have Gaddock effect to add from the graveyard, and then Anguish to search. The search effect being a trigger in general, not that great. And then the effect to destroy a spell trap. This is also a trigger. Well, what I meant with the effects aren't triggers are like the important ones for your combo. So if we do Anguish effect, this doesn't do anything, honestly. If we add a Memento monster from our deck to the hand, we can't normal summon it anyways because we already normal summoned Anguish. So you have to add Tatsu no Tushigo here, or Horse, whatever. So if we activate Horse effect, then we have a target to special summon off of or with Anguish. And that's something. But if we get like Impermed, we're extremely cooked. We have no normal summon and no way to summon whatever our horse here sends, right? So that's incredibly awkward, and this makes the one of the most vital spots to hit against this deck probably the normal summon. And the only way you can play around your normal summon getting like impermed or something like that is if you already open Bone Party or Fusion. If you open Fusion, then you would also need to open another Memento monster, which puts us in 3-card range, which is pretty awkward, but uh, it's still combo, and you'll end on at least like a Cranium Burst. So that's something. If we do Bone Party, it's pretty awkward to do Bone Party, honestly. So if we were to do, for example, normal summon Anguish effect of Anguish, and then we're doing the effect to search. All right, bone parting here, not that big of a deal. But if we were to instead, for example, normal summon Darkblade, our opponent chains Imperm to Darkblade. If we chain Bone Party, what do we even summon off of Bone Party? Because we still have to resolve the Darkblade effect because it doesn't target here. So right here during your main phase, you can destroy one Memento monster you control, and if you do, special summon a level 3 or lower Memento monster from your deck. So it'll go like this. Uh, chain 1, Darkblade, chain 2, Imperm, chain 3, Bone Party pops. Darkblade, Imperm has no target on field anymore, so it does nothing. And then Darkblade effect will now resolve, popping whatever you summon off of the Bone Party. In which case, what is even worth summoning, honestly? If it's just going to be summoned and popped immediately, pretty damn awkward. So I guess maybe we can pop Gaddock here, and that's probably the best target, I suppose. That should be fine. So then they'll be like, pop Gaddock, Gaddock effect, special summon, and then yeah, Gaddock just does nothing. It kind of sits here, unless you want to add Bone Party for next turn. Sure. Also worth mentioning about Gaddock is the combo lines in Memento are just extremely awkward. A lot of combo lines, you're actually just sending Gaddock off of Horse, so Tatsu no Tushigo, right? And then we're going to be able to activate our Gaddock effect to special summon itself. And then we never use this effect to add a card. We just chill. We just sit on this for a while. And then later on in the turn, we will Goblin effect to send 2 different cards. So we'll send a Spell Trap for our Gaddock to add back, and then probably a monster to shuffle back with Tekutlika over here. So pretty awkward in that sense, but I guess this is kind of neat what you can do here. So usually you will add Horn Dragon at some point, so we're going to be able to link off the Gaddock and the Horn Dragon for Elf, and then we can Elf bring back the Gaddock, and then Gaddock can grab back whatever we sent off of our Goblin. So in this case, it might be like a Cranium Burst, it might be Fracture Dance, could be Memento Miklon, doesn't super matter. And then we can activate Fusion, which we probably used in the turn, to pop our copy of Gaddock. There are different sequences depending on like what your hand is, what your opponent's doing, of course, but that is the general idea where we can just use Sprite Elf to resummon back Gaddock, and that's why we're able to use the Gaddock effect to special summon itself. Otherwise, we don't want to see Gaddock at all, and we would just send it off of Goblin alongside whatever we're trying to add. And then we just link it off for IP and make SP next turn. That is the other idea, but still awkward nonetheless, right? And in terms of cards that can actually one card combo, I believe it's just we have Goblin. Not like my favorite way to start, but you know, combo is combo, right? So we have Goblin, Tatsunu to Shigo. This is also combo. So I believe what this can do is we send let's see. We have to send specifically it's Gaddock, and then we have to send Mace. So we have to then, well, I guess you would send Goblin as well here. So the idea is Gaddock adds Mace to the hand, normal summon Mace, Mace grabs Fusion, and then you can combo off of that. And then there is also Anguish and Darkblade. If we play these all at max copies, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 12 one-card starters, which is pretty good, except you don't have super good extenders, so a little bit awkward there. If you have Bone Party, you can usually extend a lot of the time, but Bone Party is only a 3 of. In comparison to Snake Eye, for example, Snake Eye has 3 of Bonfire, and then we have 3 Diabell Star, plus 1 Wanted. So that's like an additional 4 different extenders that are also um, starters, which is disgusting in comparison to what we have here, I suppose, right? So extenders and starters, in this case, we have only Bone Party as the extender. Is there a way for us to easily access these guys? I don't really think there's a super good way to get access into these guys, right? So Mace being a fairy is awkward. I don't think that's like accessible. Memento Goblin is actually a maybe dog. Like you could access this with like Chimera, I guess, right? That's somewhat reasonable to attempt to do. So that's neat. And you also have a nice form of removal with Fracture Dance. So we have targeted destruction and non-targeting destruction. The awkward thing, of course, is you don't get the other pop if you don't get the first pop off, which is kind of also awkward. But in general, you have a lot of nice tools in this deck, but primary issue here is we don't really have a good way to interact with our opponent in a sense. So let's say our end board is going to consist of Bone Party, Fracture Dance, Radiant Burst, Takutlika, Combined Creation, and even Memento Fusion. So don't worry too much how we got to this end board, but we might also have like a Sprite Elf for protection on our Combined Creation here. So if our end board is something jank like this, what exactly can we do if our opponent plays, well, time to start listing off cards. Raigeki, they destroy our monster. And then that kills Fracture Dance because we might be able to pop 1, I suppose, but that's about it. We can pop 1. So, not great. And that's only a maybe. So if we have another, which I guess there's a decent chance we do, another Memento card in our hand, we can still like Bone Party to pop whatever's in our hand and then special summon a guy, Fracture Dance effect to pop 1 card. That's what we would have after a Raigeki. Then this is dead, and this is only maybe alive. I don't know for sure if we would have enough monsters to actually make something meaningful off of Fusion. We can go into, I guess, like Twin Dragon, but Twin Dragon doesn't really do a whole lot. In an ideal world, we would be able to make Guardian Chimera and pop, like, I guess, 1 or 2 guys, depending on exactly what happens. So that's just after a Raigeki, right? And then there is just our opponent activates Duster. What do we have then? Actually nothing. Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm the back row. We have nothing. Our opponent activates Evenly Matched. Okay, no matter what card we keep, we're pretty screwed. I guess the best thing we could do is probably like Bone Party pop Combined Creation, and then we can add a card and simultaneously put Tekutlika into our graveyard for like next turn. Is there anything good we could add? Probably not. And then like the other cards are all dead here pretty much. Except like maybe if we can try for fusion, the other idea would be to special summon with Bone Party actually, and then we can just special summon like Angwitch and then try to Guardian Chimera from there, I guess actually. Well, that's for sure an option, I guess. Not like necessarily my favorite option, but options are options, I suppose. And then there's also the idea of what if we activate a monster effect? So let's say we activate Combined Creation here, and then our opponent does triple Tactic Talents to steal. Well, now isn't that awkward? So yeah, let's say we do something pretty simple, like maybe we go attempt to activate, let's say Branded Fusion, Chain Ash, and then Next chain, we can Tekudlika Combine Creation if we wish to try to like special summon a guy and then maybe add another guy. So it could be like Gaddock to add Mace, Anguich to add Mace, both are fine. And then our opponent just takes our Combined Creation and attacks us and just full board wipes us and then links off like Creation and plays for free. Well, in this case, Random Fusion might not be the best example. So it could even be something like Activate Perlarino, Chain Ash, and then that whole chain happens, and it doesn't really matter what's on our board, it's just not going to go well for us. If we have like an IP and we make SP, then our opponent just takes that SP. And yeah, that's not great either. The funny thing here is our opponent, I believe, will be able to activate SP if we try to make SP and chain to Triple Tactics Talent. So yeah, pretty much every single going second card ever just obliterates the crap out of Memento. But on the bright side, it's a fun deck to play and it's consistent. Can't really say much else. The interactions we have are somewhat interesting, and the playstyle of the deck also kind of interesting. Another downside, combos are extremely long. Like, doing a Memento combo takes like 9 years. The amount of cards you have to like cycle and activate to just end on literally just a combined creation pass. 26-step combo if it's a one card. The more cards you add, the more complicated it gets, more chances of misplaying, as well as the end board being mid makes the payoff feel like pretty eh. But if we're looking at how budget friendly the deck is as well, that's another plus, I suppose, right? The only UR in the deck as of currently, if we're focusing on peer, right, would be Takut like a combined creation. So in that regard, massive W. But I mean, the the cards, how they synergize together, pretty interesting. But if something happens to your normal summon, you're pretty miserable most of the time. So let's just assume our opponent has Gamma, and they will always Gamma against our normal summon. What exactly can we do with a bunch of different hands? So Anguish effect, and then we Bone Party. So if we do that, we have combo because we can go Dark Blade summons Mace. That is a-okay. If we have Fusion, what can we do with Fusion? Well, we would need to Fusion using Anguish plus one more guy, which we have in our hand. So let's assume it's like the worst card that could possibly be in this case. I think it would be Anguish. So we have two copies of Anguish and then Fusion. And normal summon Anguish gets hit by the Gamma. What exactly can we do if we activate Twin Dragon? Twin Dragon effect will special summon itself. We'll use Anguish and Anguish, and then we can add two cards by destroying itself. We will have to destroy itself, as we will have no other targets to do so. And then we can add, I guess, Memento Horn Dragon. Special summon back Anguish is something we'll probably have to do. And we have no normal summon at this point. So I think the best play is probably to use Fusion for Bone Party, I believe. And we should add Tekudlika with Horn Dragon, like no matter what in this case, after we do the pop, right? So then we can Bone Party, pop Tekudlika, put it in the graveyard, it'll special summon itself from the graveyard, so no problem there. And then we can like link off for SP, IP, maybe Stray Elf, depending on how things go. We've yet to use Memento Link Goblin effect, so there's the idea of doing like Bone Party, Dark Blade, and then Dark Blade goes into either Mace or Goblin. Goblin probably being better in this case, being able to also send Gaddock to then also add us probably Cranium Burst, right? And then we can maybe have Mace effect next turn to steal our opponent's card, plus like Cranium with Tekudlika. So That's about what I would expect. And that's like the worst one. If we had a goblin in hand, it's a little bit better because then our Memento Twin Dragon here can special summon back Goblin instead of Anguish, which has essentially no effect at this point in time. So that's how I see it going, at least, right? And this is a 3-card combo if we're interrupted by Gamma, right? So we have 2-card option, 3-card option, and it's only specifically pretty much these cards. So good chance you actually open these because I'd say both of these cards are 3-ofs, so that's slightly helpful. But the amount of damage this does to your end board, the amount of cards you need to play, the amount of cards in hand, the lack of extenders. So even if we were playing, for example, Diabellstar here in our list, so let's say we have Snake Eye, Memento, there's nothing we can do with Diabellstar here, like, to really add on to this. There's also the issue of Bone Party, where, like, this happens to me a lot, because unlucky, I guess. If you never draw into a Memento monster, then you can never activate Bone Party, even if, like, we have Tekutlika plus Bone Party. This is still technically combo, right? But you don't you don't draw into something, you're screwed. You get hit by Ash Blossom Geospring, you're screwed. So that's also just a thing that's a little bit miserable, but that doesn't happen that often, so not super worth talking about, I guess. But yeah, it hurts to get hit by, like, just in general, so kind of worth talking about, I suppose. But yeah, in terms of just how the deck plays, it's a pretty solid deck, all things considered. But at the same time, just for the fact that, like, we have no play against board breakers, that is pretty miserable. So what do we do when we get hit by evenly matched? We reach our hand, you know, to give our opponent a handshake. That's what we do. If we get hit by backer removal or monster removal, we're also done for. If we get hit by a kaiju, we are pretty done for. The amount of options you have to deal with, like, what your opponent does to an extent right now, a bit lacking. So if our opponent were to literally just be playing Vanquish Soul with some going second cards, not much we can do about it. If our opponent's playing Kichdira with, like, going second cash, they open literally any going second card. They could open backer removal, monster removal, kaiju, literally anything, and they'll probably win, right? So if you're specifically against it going second deck and you went first, you probably lose. So that is my biggest gripe with Memento right now, probably. Aside from the combos taking like 9 years to do. And it's not like you auto win with the Memento combo or anything, but it's a pretty decent board. But also it takes like 26 goddamn steps. Yeah, that's not like necessarily that great. It unironically takes me less time to do a DD combo. DD being known for, like, having spreadsheet combos or whatever, bro. Memento takes me longer to play than DD. And DD, I think it's like a lot more clear cut how it's played in comparison to this. So you don't even need as much thinking time for DD. Like, spreadsheet aside, because you don't really need a spreadsheet to play these decks, if you ask me, but yeah. Deck is fun if you're interested, I guess. Yeah, just it's not that expensive anyways. Might as well give it a go. And I guess you did have an opportunity to test this during the Link Fusion festival or whatever, because I believe there was a Memento loaner. So the loaner, I guess, was like all right. Kind of had some weird oddities about it, but you know, it is what it is. So, yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. And if you have any thoughts or opinions on Memento, feel free to leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.